There is something happening in your life right now, Aquarius, something that is easy to miss if you are not paying attention to the right things. Not everyone receives this kind of opening. Not everyone is positioned the way you are positioned in this particular moment. The universe does not open new doors for everyone at once. It does so selectively, for the ones who have done the internal work, for the ones who have cleared enough of the old to make room for something genuinely new, for the ones who have earned the next level not through perfection but through persistence and authenticity. And right now, that door is opening for you. You may not be able to see it fully yet. You may only be catching glimpses, fragments of possibility that do not quite add up to a complete picture. That is how new chapters usually begin. Not with a grand announcement but with a series of quiet, clear signals that, taken together, tell a story. The story being told right now in your life is one of transition, expansion, and genuine opportunity. In this video, we are going to walk through 11 of the clearest signals the universe sends when it is opening a new door for Aquarius. If any of these land close to home, if any of these feel less like new information and more like confirmation of something you already suspected, stay with that feeling. The door is already open. What matters now is whether you choose to walk through it. Signal 1. Old chapters are completing themselves without drama. One of the most striking things about a genuine new beginning is that the endings that precede it often happen more quietly than you expect. When the universe is preparing to open a new door for Aquarius, it tends to first complete the chapters that have been holding you in place. And these completions do not always arrive as dramatic endings. They often arrive as quiet resolutions, as things simply winding down on their own, as the natural conclusion of something that has run its course. You may be noticing this in your life right now. A situation that once felt tense or unresolved seems to be reaching a natural resting point without requiring a big confrontation or a forced resolution. A relationship that was draining your energy has gently receded. Not with a fight but with a mutual, almost wordless recognition that its season has ended. A chapter of work or creative pursuit feels genuinely complete. Not abandoned but finished, the way a book feels when you close it at the last page rather than setting it down in the middle. For Aquarius, this kind of quiet completion is significant. You are a sign that can sometimes stay in situations past their natural endpoint, often because you are still analyzing them, still trying to understand all the angles, still looking for the insight that will make the whole thing make sense. When things begin resolving without requiring your analysis to push them through, it is a sign that something larger is doing the work. Something is clearing the field for you. Completions like these create space. And space is the prerequisite for anything new. When the universe begins completing your old chapters for you, it is not taking things away. It is making room. It is preparing the landscape for what comes next. The quiet endings you are experiencing right now are not losses. They are preparations. Pay attention to what is completing. Honor those endings properly, not with grief but with gratitude. Something was there and it served its purpose and now it is done. And because it is done, something new can begin. Signal 2. Your sense of direction is becoming sharper even without a clear plan. Here is something that does not make logical sense but is profoundly true. Sometimes, just before a major opening, your sense of direction becomes clearer even when your actual plan is still vague. You cannot yet name exactly what is coming. You cannot see the full picture of what the new chapter will look like. But there is an increasing sense of clarity about the direction, about the general heading, about the quality of what you are moving toward, even when the specifics remain out of focus. If you have been experiencing this lately, a growing internal certainty about where you are going that coexists with a practical lack of detail about what exactly that looks like, pay close attention. This is one of the clearest signals that a new door is opening. The direction you feel inside yourself is actually ahead of the circumstances in your outer life. Your inner compass has already locked onto the new heading. Your outer reality simply has not yet rearranged itself to match it. For Aquarius, this directional clarity often comes through the intellect first. You start thinking about things in a new way. Certain ideas or possibilities that did not feel relevant before begin to feel urgent and important. Your mind begins drawing connections between things that once seemed unrelated, and those connections point toward something. Not a detailed plan, but a clear enough sense of forward movement that you can feel the pull of it. Trust this inner directional sense even when you cannot yet back it up with evidence. Your intellectual nature will want to have the plan fleshed out before committing to the direction. But this particular signal is asking you to reverse that sequence. Let the direction come first. Let the clarity lead. The plan will fill in as you move. If what you are hearing feels accurate, know that it could happen if you applied this energy consistently for 21 consecutive days. That is the 21-day challenge pinned at the top of this channel. It is built around daily guidance, focused direction, and real momentum. If you are tired of staying in the same cycle, that structure is exactly what has been missing. Signal 3: new and unexpected people are entering your world. The universe tends to populate new chapters with new people. When a significant opening is approaching for Aquarius, one of the most reliable signals is the appearance of people who bring a different kind of energy into your life. They may appear in ordinary ways: a conversation that starts unexpectedly, a connection made through someone you already know, a person who seems to appear right at the moment when you most needed to encounter someone who thinks the way they think. These new arrivals do not always have the full picture of what they are going to mean to you. And in the early days of these connections, you may not have it either. But there is something in the quality of these new encounters that is different from the usual. These people seem to see you in an unusually clear way. They speak to you in a language that does not require a great deal of translation. They offer perspectives that genuinely expand how you are thinking about your own life and your own possibilities. For Aquarius, whose primary love language is intellectual connection and authentic conversation, this kind of encounter is significant. When you meet someone who can genuinely engage with the fullness of your mind, who is not intimidated by your independence or your unconventional thinking, who brings their own depth and their own vision to the conversation, that is not an ordinary meeting. That is a signal. New people entering your world at this particular time are doing so for a reason. Not every one of them will stay for a long time. Some are meant to be brief and luminous, present for a specific conversation or a specific insight and then moving on. But others may be the beginning of connections that will matter for years. Connections that are aligned with the chapter you are entering rather than the one you are leaving. Stay open to these new arrivals. Do not be in a rush to categorize or define them. Let the connections breathe and develop. Some of the most important people in your next chapter have just recently come, or are just about to come, into your life. Signal 4. Creative or intellectual energy is surging through you. Aquarius has always been a sign of mental vitality, but there are periods in your life when that mental energy operates at a noticeably higher frequency. Ideas arrive with unusual speed and clarity. Creative impulses push through with a force that is hard to ignore. You find yourself drawn to new areas of learning, new fields of inquiry, new creative territories that you have not explored before. The mind is buzzing with what-ifs and possibilities and visions of things that do not yet exist. If you are in one of those surges right now, if you are feeling more mentally alive, more creatively charged, more drawn to thinking and making and exploring than you have in a while, that is a signal. Creative and intellectual surges do not happen randomly for Aquarius. They happen when your energy is aligning with a new direction. The surge is the sign that your inner world is charging up in preparation for something. The electricity in your mind is the energy of the door opening. Uranus, your ruling planet, is the planet of lightning, of sudden brilliant illumination, of the idea that rearranges everything. When you feel Uranian energy coursing through you with unusual intensity, it means something electric is on its way. Something that will restructure how you see a situation, how you understand your own potential, or how you understand the world around you. Do not let this surge pass without capturing what it brings. Write, create, explore, experiment. The intellectual and creative energy flooding through you right now is not just inspiration for its own sake. It is the raw material of the new chapter. It is the fuel that the next version of your life runs on. Use it deliberately. Use it generously. Do not wait for the perfect moment to channel it. The perfect moment is always now. Signal 5. Your body is telling you something is shifting. Aquarius tends to live very much in the mind, and it can sometimes be slow to notice what the body is communicating. But the body is always honest. And when a significant energetic shift is happening in someone's life, the body tends to register it in ways that are difficult to ignore, even for someone as intellectually oriented as you. You may be noticing changes in your energy levels that do not have an obvious external cause. Days when you feel unusually energized, lighter, more awake and present than you have in some time. Alternatively, days when a deep tiredness settles in. Not the exhaustion of overwork, but the fatigue of deep internal processing, of something being released or transformed at a level below conscious awareness. You may notice changes in your appetite, your sleep, your desire for movement or stillness. These physical shifts are signals. The body is a highly sensitive instrument, and it responds to energetic change in real time. When the universe is opening a new door, the body often knows before the mind has processed it. Something in your physical experience is registering the shift and trying to communicate it to you. Pay attention, not with anxiety but with curiosity. What is your body telling you it needs right now? Rest, movement, nourishment, time in nature, time in solitude? The care you give your body during this transitional period is not incidental. It is part of the preparation. The new chapter you are moving into is going to require your full energy, your full presence, your full capacity. The signals your body is sending are invitations to honor and support yourself in a time when that support matters more than usual. Signal 6. The things you used to tolerate feel unbearable now. There is a specific kind of clarity that comes when a new door is genuinely opening, and it has a quality of intolerance to it. Situations, dynamics, and conditions that you once accepted, perhaps with quiet resentment, perhaps with the kind of patient endurance that you told yourself was maturity, suddenly feel impossible to continue tolerating. The patience runs out. The justifications stop working. The story you were telling yourself about why things were acceptable just stops being convincing. For Aquarius, this signal often shows up in relationship to conformity and restriction. If you have been operating within systems or relationships that require you to shrink, to pretend, to perform a version of yourself that is not genuinely you, there comes a moment when the performance simply cannot continue. Something in you refuses. Not dramatically, not necessarily with anger, but with a quiet and absolute refusal that cannot be reasoned away. This intolerance is not a failure of patience or a regression to immaturity. It is a sign of growth. It is the sign that your sense of self has solidified to the point where the compromise feels genuinely impossible rather than just uncomfortable. The things you can no longer tolerate are the things that your new chapter has no room for. The intolerance is the new door pushing through, clearing the space by making the old arrangements untenable. When you feel this kind of intolerance arising, do not suppress it and do not let it drive impulsive decisions. But do listen to it carefully. It is showing you with unusual precision exactly what has no place in the chapter you are moving into. It is showing you the shape of the space being cleared. And what it is clearing out is making room for something that fits the real, uncompromised, fully alive version of who you are. If this message is resonating with your sign right now, trust that it is not a coincidence. When the universe wants to speak to you, it sends exactly the right signal at exactly the right moment. And you are here because you needed to hear this today. Your support, whether as a subscriber or as a member of this community, is what keeps these messages alive. The ones that touch hearts, awaken minds, and transform lives. If this video has been making sense to you, drop in the comments the day you were born. Let us keep going. Signal 7. An opportunity is appearing that does not follow the expected path. New doors for Aquarius almost never open in the way that conventional wisdom would predict. Your sign does not follow standard trajectories. You do not move from point A to point B to point C the way a textbook might suggest. You move in ways that look unconventional from the outside but make complete sense from the inside. And when the universe opens a new door for you, the opening itself tends to reflect that same unconventional logic. The opportunity you have been sensing, or the one that is currently presenting itself, may not look the way you expected it to look. It may not arrive through the channels you were monitoring. It may not come dressed in the form of what you thought you were waiting for. The job opportunity may appear in a field you had not considered. The relationship connection may appear in an unlikely setting. The creative breakthrough may come through something that initially seemed like a distraction from your actual work. Aquarius has a visionary mind, which means you can be very attached to the specific vision of how something should unfold. You can see the destination so clearly that you sometimes dismiss pathways that do not match the imagined route. This is one of the most important things to stay alert to right now. The door that is opening may not be on the wall you have been watching. It may be on a wall you had not even turned to face yet. Stay broadly open. Keep your awareness wide rather than narrowed down to a single expected form. The opportunity the universe is creating for you is real and it is coming, but it may require you to expand your definition of what it looks like. The willingness to recognize it, even when it arrives in unexpected packaging, is one of the most important skills you can bring to this moment. Signal 8. Your courage is growing alongside your clarity. Courage for Aquarius does not typically look the same as it does for other signs. You are not the kind of person who charges into situations with dramatic bravado. Your courage is quieter and deeper than that. It is the courage of the thinker who decides to act even when the data is incomplete. It is the courage of the visionary who shares what they see even when they know others will not immediately understand it. It is the courage of the independent soul who refuses to compromise what matters most even when conformity would be easier. If you have been feeling this kind of quiet courage growing in you lately, that is a signal. When a new door is genuinely opening, Aquarius tends to feel an increasing willingness to take the steps that previously felt too risky. The fear does not necessarily disappear, but it becomes less controlling. The clarity of what matters and where you are going begins to outweigh the discomfort of moving toward it without guaranteed outcomes. This growing courage is not accidental. It is being developed specifically in preparation for what is coming. The new chapter in front of you will require you to do things you have not done before, to take risks you have been avoiding, to show up in ways that are more visible or more vulnerable than you have been comfortable with. The courage that has been quietly growing inside you is the exact resource you will need for those moments. Notice it, appreciate it, do not take it for granted. The courage of Aquarius is one of the most rare and powerful forces there is, because it combines intellectual integrity with the willingness to act against the grain. When that courage is on the rise, significant things are always on the horizon. Signal 9. Your vision of your own future has expanded. There is a difference between the vague wish for things to be different and the genuine expansion of your sense of what is possible for you. And Aquarius, who is by nature a visionary, knows the difference. The vague wish has an anxious, dissatisfied quality. The genuine expansion of vision has a quality of clarity and even excitement, a sense that something you could not quite see before has come into view. If your sense of what is possible for your own life has expanded recently, if you find yourself thinking about your future in terms that feel larger, more specific, more genuinely achievable than they did even a few months ago, that expansion is a signal. It means your inner readiness has caught up with the outer opportunity. It means the door being opened by the universe matches the interior capacity you have been building, perhaps without even realizing you were building it. This expanded vision may show up in practical terms. A business or project idea that suddenly feels more real and actionable than it did before. A relationship configuration or life structure that you previously could not quite imagine for yourself. A creative work or professional contribution that feels not just desirable, but genuinely possible and genuinely imminent. Or it may show up in more internal terms, a broader sense of your own worth, a clearer sense of your own capacity, a deeper trust in your own judgment and your own path. Whatever form it takes, an expanded vision of your own future is one of the strongest confirmations that the door is opening. You are not imagining possibilities from a place of wishful thinking. You are seeing them from a place of readiness. And readiness is always the signal that what you are ready for is genuinely near. Signal 10. The past has become less heavy. One of the most beautiful and sometimes surprising signs that a new chapter is genuinely beginning is when you notice that the past has become lighter. Things that once held significant emotional weight, memories that once had the power to pull you back into old feelings, regrets or resentments that used to surface with considerable force, begin to feel more distant. Not forgotten, not dismissed, but settled, as if they have been properly placed in the past where they belong, rather than remaining in the present as unfinished business. For Aquarius, this lightening of the past is particularly significant. You are a future-oriented sign. Your mind naturally points forward, but when there is unresolved emotional weight from the past, it creates a kind of gravitational pull that can make it difficult to move fully into what is coming. The resentments that have not been released, the hurts that have not been processed, the regrets that have not been forgiven, these act as anchors. And when they begin to loosen, when the past begins to feel genuinely past, it means the anchor is lifting. This lightening does not always happen through dramatic catharsis. Sometimes it happens quietly and gradually over time. One day you realize that a memory which once stung now simply sits there, flat and neutral, a fact of your history rather than an active wound. One day you realize that the bitterness you once carried toward a person or a situation has simply dissolved, not because you forced it away but because something in you finally let it go. If the past has been feeling lighter lately, honor that. It is not a small thing. It is one of the most direct signals that you have genuinely cleared something that was holding you. And a person who is no longer being held back by the weight of their past is a person who is genuinely free to step through whatever new door is in front of them. Signal 11. Something deep inside you already knows this is your moment. Every signal we have discussed today points toward the same thing. And that thing is this: a knowing, a deep and quiet and unshakable knowing that this is your moment. Not someday, not eventually. Now, right now, in this particular window of time, something is available to you that was not available before. Something is ready to be received that you have been building toward, perhaps consciously, perhaps entirely without knowing it. This knowing does not announce itself loudly. It does not compete with the noise of your daily life or the concerns of your rational mind. It simply sits underneath everything, steady and clear, available whenever you grow quiet enough to hear it. It has the quality of a truth that does not need to argue for itself because it simply is. You know it the way you know that you are breathing. It is that fundamental. Aquarius at its highest expression is a sign of genuine wisdom. Not just intelligence, though the intelligence is extraordinary. Wisdom. The kind that comes from thinking deeply about the world and your place in it. The kind that integrates the personal and the universal. The kind that knows when it is time to hold still and when it is time to move. Right now, the wisdom in you is saying move, open, trust, step forward. The 11 signals we have walked through today are all pointing in the same direction. Old chapters completing, direction becoming clear, new people arriving, creative energy surging, the body registering the shift, intolerance for what does not fit, an opportunity appearing in unexpected form, courage growing alongside clarity, vision expanding, the past becoming lighter, and the deep inner knowing that this is the moment. All of these signals taken together are a message. And the message is, the door is open, Aquarius. Walk through it. If this message resonated with your sign, trust that it is not a coincidence. When the universe wants to speak to you, it always sends exactly the right signal. And you are here because you needed to hear this today. Your support as a subscriber or as a member of this community is what keeps these messages alive. They are the messages that touch, awaken, and transform. If this video made sense to you, leave in the comments the day you were born. Aquarius, we want to leave you today with something important. The door that the universe is opening for you right now is not a door that will stay open forever without your participation. Doors open and they wait, but they do not wait indefinitely. There is a window in every genuine opening during which the energy is alive and available and moving in your direction, and that is the window you are in right now. The window for Aquarius is not long, because your sign operates on electrical energy, on the sudden surge and the decisive moment, not on the slow accumulation of hesitation. What this means practically is that the signals we have been talking about today are not just interesting observations. They are invitations to action. Not frantic action, not impulsive action, but the kind of deliberate, clear-eyed, values-driven action that Aquarius is capable of when it is operating at its best. The kind of action that comes from full alignment between what you know, what you value, and what you choose to do. You were built to see what others cannot yet see. You were built to carry visions that are ahead of your time. You were built to live in a way that reflects authenticity rather than conformity, that reflects genuine contribution rather than performance, that reflects the best and most honest version of who you are. That is not an accident of personality. It is a design. You were made this way on purpose, for a purpose that is larger than your individual life. The new door opening right now is aligned with that purpose. Whatever it leads to, whatever the specific circumstances of the next chapter turn out to be, they are going to ask you to be more fully yourself, not less. They are going to call on the parts of you that are sharpest and truest and most genuine. And that is the best possible kind of opportunity. Because for a sign that values authenticity above almost everything else, an opportunity that asks you to be exactly who you are, that is not just a good offer. That is the ideal one. The signals are there, Aquarius. 11 of them, clear and present and pointing in the same direction. The universe is opening a door for you right now, and it is doing so because it has looked at who you are, what you have been building, and what you are ready for, and it has decided that you are exactly the right person for what comes next. The only thing left for you to do is say yes. Walk forward, trust the opening, and let the new chapter begin.